The ascendancy of ideology over foundational values. In modern society, the binding forces of culture, religion, and community are increasingly being displaced by a pervasive and divisive political ideology. While social and judicial values have historically served as the bedrock for stable societies, guaranteeing individual freedoms and fostering shared principles like equality and fair treatment, this foundation is now under threat. We now live in a world where these universal ideals are overruled by a new, rigid framework that prioritizes power and difference over common humanity. This framework finds its ultimate expression in the rise of autocratic and fascist-leaning regimes, which are supplanting democratic norms worldwide. While often disguised under the banners of nationalism or economic freedom, these systems operate on a principle of consolidated power. This is not the capitalism of free and equal participation, but a system of authoritarian capitalism or neo-feudalism, where the state and a wealthy elite merge. In this model, the individual is not a citizen but a subject, compelled to comply under threat of state-sanctioned force, a grim reality witnessed in instances where a government turns its military or militarized police against its own people. The primary tool of this autocratic rule is an ideology of division. It systematically separates people based on status, ethnicity, gender, and belief, dismantling solidarity to maintain control. We see this in the stark hypocrisy of political leaders who champion pro-life or family values from the pulpit, while simultaneously endorsing policies that lead to the disproportionate bombardment of innocent civilians or the brutal persecution of immigrants. The ideology is not about consistent principles. It is about wielding identity as a weapon. This trickles down to the local level, where the relationship between the state and the citizen becomes purely extractive. Politicians and authorities no longer serve to uphold a fair social and market structure. Instead, they treat workers and citizens as sources of revenue through aggressive ticketing, surcharges, and regressive taxes, and as a compliant labor force regulated to serve the interests of investors and the private sector. The working class is redefined. Its purpose is no longer to build a shared prosperity, but to generate capital for the powerful. When ideology corrupts pure principles, right and wrong are no longer universal, but are defined by one's status and group identity. The enlightened ideal that all people are born with inalienable rights is narrowed to apply only to a specific archetype, those of the correct ethnicity, class, and background. For anyone born outside this privileged circle, life becomes a perpetual struggle. It often seems as if we can only wait for these autocratic systems to exhaust themselves by depleting their nation's social and economic resources before democracy can be restored. Yet, despite this bleak outlook, we must not surrender to despair. The struggle to reclaim our shared values and common humanity is essential. We must cling to the hope and inspiration needed to fight for a future that is not only politically free but also socially just and environmentally sustainable. A truly clean and green world for all.